Brazil nuts.
Yes.
Okay, that's what we want to talk about. We've talked about this. One Brazil nut may bring cholesterol levels down faster than statin drugs and keep them down for up to a month, 30 days. One Brazil nut.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Brewer Report. Once again, we are here talking about all things nutrition, all things health. Today, our topic is all about nuts. We're about to go nuts today on just the power of nuts. Who knew? So we're going to get into some details with that. But again, thank you to all of our subscribers, all of our new subscribers, everyone who's here joining with us and just allowing us to form a community. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And as always, like, share the videos, comment on the videos. It really helps us to gain some light on the YouTube platform. That's just how their algorithm works. Now, I do recognize that, like I said, we're talking about nuts today. I do recognize that quite a few, well, I won't say quite a few, but I believe it's about 1 to 2% of the population may have a nut allergy. So, we will be making recommendations regarding the consumption of nuts, but as always, consult with your doctors. And again, if you know you have a nut allergy, then obviously you may not or you should not consume nuts. But there may be other paths to the benefits we're talking about. But always, always consult your doctors. We are just here again speaking on the research. But with nuts, look, I love nuts. As Dame Dad says, pause. I hate when people say that, by the way, pause. I don't see the point of it, but pause, pause, pause. But look, I love nuts. I put it in my salads, and sometimes if you're not careful, you're getting your handful of nuts and you may eat too much of it. In fact, we're going to talk about that too, about how much nuts you should eat or consume in a day. But look, nuts are definitely a huge part of my diet. In the past, we've mentioned Furman's G-Bomb's diet. He ends that acronym G-Bombs, greens, beans, uh, what is it, onions,
Right.
mushrooms, berries, and seeds. He ends that with seeds, but I think you can incorporate nuts with that. And we're going to talk more and more about that. So, I will move on and allow my dad to take over when it comes to the science of nuts.
Right. Nuts, nuts, nuts. How great are the nuts? 21% reduction in heart disease, 11% reduction in cancer, and 22% lower risk of mortality. However, overconsumption can lead to weight gain, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So a handful is sufficient for health benefits. So let's get deeper into the science, okay? Okay, so there was a meta-analysis done in 2016 that showed a high intake of nuts reduces heart diseases, diabetes, gallstones, obesity, colorectal cancers, and other cancers, but they were mainly looking at tree nuts. So they include dietary fibers, magnesium, polyunsaturated fats, vitamin E, and antioxidants. So what the hell does all of that mean? So they did a study with the Mediterranean diet, which we've talked about somewhat. We'll talk about it more. That's that G-Bombs diet: greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds, and tomatoes. Remember, we talked about tomatoes. With
Yes.
nuts, showed a 47% reduction in breast cancer. Now, the
Mm.
risk of breast cancer overall decreased 69% if you included olive oil. So one of the things that the researchers really need to do is add nuts with the Mediterranean diet and olive oil. But but here's where nuts really shine. Cancer. Walnuts and pecans are the highest antioxidant nuts, with peanuts a close third. They tested walnuts and pecans versus liver and colon cancer, and they were very effective. But what about breast cancer? So Penn State did a study and tested it on women who ate whole nuts, walnut skin, and walnut oil. Now, the reason they did that is because they wanted to find out, was it the whole nut? Was it a part of the nut, like the skin and the oil, which would cause a reduction in breast cancer? And what they found out, it was the whole nut that reduced breast cancer.
Right, right. So
For
that's
sure.
the key
Yeah,
for
yeah,
people
go
to
ahead.
understand. It's really, you have to get the skin of the nuts. That's where the antioxidants are living. That's what a lot of these studies have found.
Yes, yes, and we'll get
So
deeper
what's
into that,
right,
and
we'll
we'll
get
get a
into
little bit
that.
deeper into that. But
Okay.
but but the bottom line is, it was the actual, in this particular study, it was the actual whole food that was the key. And we talk about that. Stacey, we talked about that when we talked about tomatoes. We say you got to eat the whole tomato, tomato paste, tomato, sun-dried tomato, as opposed to the lycopene, which is the antioxidant in tomatoes, which if you isolated that, it didn't have the same health benefit. Well, the same thing applies to nuts. It's the whole nut. So let's talk specifically about some of these nuts, okay? All right, let's go to the peanut. Now, a lot of people don't realize, peanut is not a nut. It's
Right,
a
it's a legume.
legume.
Yeah,
It's a
right.
bean. So you go back to the G bombs,
Which was news
green.
to me.
Yeah, 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 it was.
Yeah.
The people think it's because, but see, peanuts are not like tree nuts, walnuts, Brazil nuts, and all those other things, and pecans. So, but it's a legume. But the thing about it is, what they found is that 50%, it goes back to what you just said, Stacey, it's the skin.
Hmm.
50% of the antioxidant in peanuts is in that little papery skin. So a lot of people
Which
like to
we
eat that.
all throw away.
I know. And then
Yeah,
and so listen, do not do that.
right.
Eat your peanuts out of the shell. Now, I know a lot of people not gonna want to do that because they love to grab them salted peanuts out of the jar and they just love it. But guess what? You're leaving 50% of the antioxidants when you don't eat it without the paper skin. So it's recommended that if you want to, my neighbor Portia Mosby, anytime I go over to her house, she has this big bowl of peanuts, but they're in the shell and they're salted. So she knows I'm gonna hit it. She knows I'm gonna hit those. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna crack those nuts open and eat it. But I eat it with the paper skin. Okay, so 50% of the antioxidants are in there. And what they found was a fascinating study that peanuts with that papery skin, as tree nuts and the rest of the nuts were reducing cardiovascular disease by 21%. Well, guess what? Peanuts reduce it by 34%. So it has an even bigger impact on your cardiovascular system when you
Amazing.
eat it with that skin. And well, now what is it in peanuts that does that? It's called resveratrol. Now, peanuts have a lot of other things in it, but it has resveratrol, which is that purple purple grapes have resveratrol. In fact, we'll talk more about that when we get into the fruit. But basically, it's great. Now, all right, y'all remember what I said the last time when we were talking about cruciferous vegetables and arugula? I said blood flow. Guys, listen. Now listen one more time. Pistachios. Pistachios may help with it with ED. Why? Because ED is
Wow.
related to your cardiovascular system. Remember what we're saying. Nuts help your cardiovascular system. So pistachios have L-arginine and some other ingredients that help with blood flow. So what they found was that pistachios, uh, men who ate 3 to 4 handfuls of pistachios per day for 3 weeks experienced a significant improvement in blood flow. In blood flow, okay, and it also benefited women, okay, because women
And I
also have to
love
have blood flow.
pistachios.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I love it. I eat pistachios every day.
right.
Okay, so think about what we let's connect the dots,
So
everybody. We
I'm sorry, but
connected
real
the
quick,
dots.
how
Go
does it
ahead.
help women? Is it, you said just with the blood
Same thing, blood
flow
flow.
in general? Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
blood flow. In
Okay.
other words, the connection is your cardiovascular system, which is your vascular system, which is blood flow.
Right. Okay.
So, okay, so because it increases blood flow, it's going to help women as well. Not only the cardiovascular system, but also in their genital areas. Okay,
Hmm.
so the same thing applies with men. So in fact, Dr. Greger talks about how pistachios are better than Viagra because it basically attacks the causes of your lack of blood flow in your cardiovascular system. So that's
And it's
extremely
important for, we made a joke of it during our last podcast, but truly, if you are experiencing ED, that, as we're saying, that could be an indication that you have some cardiovascular issues. So again, always talk with your doctors. But it shouldn't be taken. I mean, some men may be embarrassed by it, but it shouldn't be taken lightly just for your overall health either. It just could
oh,
be an
absolutely.
indication that, yeah, you
Right,
you you have some circulation issues, which could
right,
lead
absolutely.
to worse issue than just an ED. It could lead to heart attack and strokes and all those other things.
Almonds. Let's talk about almonds for a minute.
Yes.
Almonds are heart healthy. Uh, they have gut fiber. But where almonds really shine is bone health. What they found was that almonds, again, eat the whole almond with the skin. A lot of people eat what we call blanched almonds. In other words, that they
Right.
just the white versions. No, eat the almonds with the skin. Again, what we just said, the antioxidants and a lot of the nutrients are in the skin. Okay. So what they really shine is what they prevent osteoporosis. So what they do is there are two processes in bone health. It's called osteoclast and osteoblast. And so osteoclast is where your bones, where your body removes damaged bone tissue. It removes old bone, and then the osteoblast is the process where it is that bone is replaced. Well, when it with the older you get, that can get out of balance. In other words, your body starts to remove more bone than it's replacing. Well, guess what?
Mm.
Almonds interfere with that process and make sure that you don't lose more bone than you are being replaced. So,
Wow.
especially for older adults, it's important that you eat your almonds because you want to make sure that you don't have brittle bones and osteoporosis.
Now, I know we mentioned this, how you shouldn't overconsume. Well, do you have other nuts you
Oh
want
yeah,
to
we
mention?
we've got the grape nut. Okay, Brazil nuts.
Yes.
Okay, that's what we want to talk about. We've talked about this. One Brazil nut may bring cholesterol levels down faster than statin drugs and keep them down for up to a month, 30 days. One Brazil nut can keep it down for up to 30 days.
Well, it
So,
wasn't just one Brazil nut, according to the study you're talking about. They had four Brazil
no,
nuts.
I'm going to get
Yeah.
to that.
Oh,
But
okay.
what
Right. Okay.
Gregor actually said when they did the study, now he believes you should do four. But
Right.
he said when
Well,
they
it was
did
like
this,
four in a month. Yeah.
yeah, four a
Okay.
month, one per week. You can
Right.
do up to one per day without hitting what
Right.
we call the upper limits of selenium, which is the essential mineral. But when you have more, Brazil nuts are very high in selenium. Let's get to that. So if
Right.
you get too much selenium, it will have an adverse effect on your liver and your kidneys. So you don't want
Hmm.
to overconsume Brazil nuts. So let's get back. What is the right balance? You can have Dr. Greger says one per week. Okay, or four per month is more than enough in his estimation. But there you can do up to one per day and still not hit that upper limit of selenium. But you
Because
don't
you do
really
need
need that.
selenium.
Yeah,
Right.
you need selenium,
Yeah.
but you
But just
don't
not
want to.
too
Oh, yeah,
much.
yeah, you
Yeah.
don't want too much.
Right.
Okay, so that's where
Because
that is. So
selenium is good for women when it comes to our health, reproductive, and things like that, I believe.
absolutely. Absolutely. So what we do, I eat one to two, maybe sometimes three or four per week. But you don't have to have that many. But because you like Stacey just said, selenium is important.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure you get enough of it, but you don't want to get too much of it because then it has toxicity on your liver and your kidneys. So what's the answer here? No more than one per day.
Yeah, one
That's the
per day.
answer. No
Right.
more than one per day. You can get away with one per week, like Gregor. I would look at my cholesterol, to be honest with you, to see how it's tracking. But keep in mind, all of these nuts are going to have an impact on your cholesterol. My cholesterol, HDL and LDL are clearly within limits. because that's how I eat one Brazil nut per day, maybe once every 2 days. I obviously eat pistachios every day, and walnuts and pecans every day, as well as peanuts. But
And the
like you
same
say,
with me.
don't eat too much.
Yeah, right.
Don't eat too
Same with
much.
me. I do the same. I take Brazil nuts when I can, once a day. And my cholesterol levels are good. And that's another key. Check your cholesterol. Go to the doctor. But yeah, go ahead.
Definitely, definitely. So that's about it. I mean, those are we've kind of gone through them. Walnuts and pecans are the highest antioxidant nuts, followed very closely by peanuts when it comes to cancer. And the studies are quite clear. They can reduce cancer. Uh, the If you eat again, go back to what we were saying. This is a combination of foods. This is G bombs. So it's G bombs plus nuts now.
Yeah,
So
plus
if you
nuts,
eat,
yes.
yeah, plus nuts, G bombs plus nuts. If you're eating G bombs plus nuts, you're going to be healthy. 21% reduced risk of heart disease, 11% reduced risk of cancer, 20% reduce of mortality overall. And what this really shows is that sudden death, tragically, I'm losing friends. I'm at that age where I'm losing friends. And a lot of them are dying from heart disease, from sudden heart attacks, or complications from surgery because they have underlying conditions. They have cholesterol, they have diabetes and hypertension and all those things. Well, nuts attack most of that, the heart disease, the cancer, etc. So if you want a strong cardiovascular system, if you want to prevent cancer, eat your nuts,
Right. And
period.
even for my generation, I'm seeing people dying fairly young from heart disease. So start now. Start incorporating nuts into your diet if you can. Now, you mentioned that what was the antioxidant starts with an R that nuts have?
Resveratrol. Yeah,
Yes.
resveratrol. Yeah,
Okay.
resveratrol is
So,
the dark
uh,
grapes. Yeah, go
yes.
ahead.
So that is included with grapes. So for those of you who cannot consume nuts, perhaps the alternative would be to consume grapes for you. But I did have a follow-up question. When it comes to, we mentioned all of these nuts and the different benefits they have, like with the walnuts, pecans, peanuts, etc. Um, as we said, you really should only consume about a handful of nuts because they even said consuming too many nuts really does not increase the benefits, yes, of limiting or reducing heart disease. Um, in fact, sometimes it may have the opposite effect because you may start gaining weight. So, with all these variety of nuts and only a handful, should we take what, like two of each, one of each, or should you just kind of pick maybe one nut per day? Like, what would you recommend for the people with that?
Obviously, with Brazil nuts, it's no more than one a day.
Yes, for that
With
one a day.
Yeah, for regular other nuts, it's no more than a handful.
No,
Regular
no,
nuts.
no, I know it's a handful, but what I mean is with, like you mentioned, with the almonds, that helps with bone health. And there's like different benefits, it seems, with some of these nuts. So would you just have mixed nuts, in other words, per day, a handful, or would you just choose, like maybe on Monday you have your almonds, on Tuesday you have your walnuts? Like, what would you do?
What I
Okay.
do is I put like two or three walnuts and two or three pecans, but pistachios are so small. Then I'll do maybe a small, maybe four or five pistachios. Now what I do is I put them on my salads. I put my walnuts and my pecans on my salads, and then on my pistachios, I'll eat them separately. I'll just crack them and eat them. Same thing with peanuts. I'll just eat a few of those. Maybe like I said, it's about an ounce per of each, and no more than an ounce per. And like I said, with Brazil nuts, no more than one. And so that's basically where I am in terms of nuts. Like you said, you can get away with not eating all of them every day. Um, but I try to eat walnuts and pecans. I try to eat those every day because of the health benefits in terms, especially when it comes to cancer.
So let
Um,
me be clear. So you do an ounce of each nut per day or just
Yeah,
an
an
ounce
ounce
of
of each
all of them?
per day,
Oh,
and which is it's not
okay.
that okay. So if you looked at my salad, you would see maybe three or four walnuts and maybe three or four pecans on there. That's it, and I'll eat that with my
Right.
salad. That goes back to that whole Mediterranean piece, you know,
Mm-hmm.
with the eat it with the vegetables, okay? Because it goes back to that piece,
And
and
olive
so
oils.
and
Mm-hmm.
olive oil, etc. So because our salads have olive oil in them.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and we've already seen it's a 47% reduced risk of cancer. So I mean, it's significant when it comes to the Mediterranean diet, and so it's the combination of those foods that we go for.
Right. So
But
I
like you
guess it
said, you have
goes
to
back
watch
to
your
just
weight.
variety. Right.
Yeah,
So
you have to watch your weight. It's all about weight, you know. Nuts
yeah.
up. In fact, they found out they're so satisfying that when they did this study with the almond nuts, they were trying to give them X amount of almond nuts, and they found out that they wouldn't eat but so many because of the satiety, because they were so filling. When they
Mm-hmm.
did the study on osteoporosis, did it with older women and they found out they didn't need that many. They only need a few nuts every day, and that's it.
Right, because especially if you're also incorporating seeds into your diet, which also, believe it or not, have a pretty high fat content. So, yes, it's even though great benefits, still in moderation. And I guess the key is variety, because they all have different benefits. But just monitor how much and
Right. So
try to
yeah,
have it daily.
right. So the big four is almond nuts with the skin, peanuts with the papery skin, the walnuts and pecans, which is the highest antioxidants, okay, and pistachios, okay. All of those things fit the cardiovascular system and cancers. I mean, those are the two big killers of human beings, to be honest with you. So cardiovascular disease, of course, being number one. And so it's extremely important that you eat those nuts with a G-Bombs diet. It's G-Bombs plus nuts.
So I know that with peanuts, there are folks out there who won't consume them because there are allegedly some toxins. Can you talk about that for us?
Yeah, Stacey, there's a mold that can be found in when peanuts and pistachios are being grown that can cause liver cancer and kidney damage, and it's called aflatoxin. And so aflatoxin is a potent liver carcinogen. Exposure to high levels of aflatoxin can it cause liver damage, kidney damage, and other health problems. Now, the government regulates this. Government agencies worldwide do regulate peanut production and pistachio production. But the one thing that you can do to make sure is to only eat roasted pistachios, only eat roasted peanuts. Because that roasting removes 90 to 95% of the aflatoxins
So don't
from
get
nuts.
raw
You do
peanuts,
not
in
do
other
raw,
words. Yeah.
period.
Hmm.
Don't do raw. And so that's and I think you made a point about brands. What did you
Yes,
say?
yes. So one other tip is that be sure you choose brands that you trust when you go to the store. If you can find a brand that you trust, then that too may help alleviate some of the issues when it comes to the toxins. But I think the biggest one is definitely to get roasted, especially if it cuts down the toxins 90 to 95%.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's just one caution to anyone who is eating nuts, especially peanuts and pistachios, is to make sure that they're roasted, like Stacey said, and you get them from a reputable brand.
Yes, reputable brands. So that to me says it all. Just I heard someone say or read someone say when they were reading up on just the benefits of nuts or hearing a particular podcast also talking about this. Uh, they said it's amazing how just a little bit of something can really go a long way. Like, who knew just an ounce or just one Brazil nut could have such a significant benefit to your body? So that's great news, in my opinion. You don't have to. go all out to benefit your body, to protect your temple. So that's amazing. But thank you so, so much, everybody, for joining us again. We really enjoy, again, talking with our community, and we love seeing it grow. Be sure, again, to like, comment, and subscribe and share our videos. And we will be back next week with another topic on health and nutrition. Anything else you want to
Bye.
share? Oh, you're
No,
good.
that's
All right.
it.
All
Go
righty.
nuts.
Yes,
Go
go
nuts.
nuts. All right, everybody. Peace.
All right, bye.